U.S. President Donald Trump calls critical minerals a key priority as he hosted the leaders of 5 Central Asian nations at the White House.
Thousands of demonstrators gathered in Riga's Dome Square to protest Latvia's possible withdrawal from the Istanbul Convention. Pope Leo XIV received Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas at the Apostolic Palace to discuss a solution to the war in Gaza.
U.S. President Donald Trump hailed leaders of 5 Central Asian countries after a White House meeting on Thursday as he intensifies his hunt for rare earth metals needed for high-tech devices, including smartphones, electric vehicles, and fighter jets. At a working dinner with officials from 5 Central Asian countries, Trump stressed the importance of critical minerals to Washington.
One of the key items on our agenda is critical minerals. In recent weeks, my administration has strengthened American economic security by forging agreements with allies and friends across the world to broaden our critical mineral supply chains. We had a great relationship and a great meeting with President Xi of China.
China expanded export restrictions over vital rare earth metals before announcing after Trump-Xi talks in South Korea that Beijing will delay its new restrictions by 1 year. Analysts believe Washington is now seeking new ways to circumvent Beijing in the critical minerals market, which controls roughly 90% of global rare earth processing.
Thousands of demonstrators gathered in Riga's Dome Square on Thursday evening to protest Latvia's possible withdrawal from the Istanbul Convention. It's the second protest in just over a week, with 5,000 people gathering in front of Parliament last Wednesday. It follows a vote passed by Latvia's parliament last week to leave the international treaty, which is aimed at supporting women who are victims of violence. The decision sparked outrage from civil society organizations who saw it as backtracking on fundamental rights. Earlier this week, Latvia's president sent the law back to Parliament for review, which then decided to postpone the final decision until November next year, when a new parliament will have taken office. Critics say the delay does not resolve the issue, and the protest's organizers argued the need for society to continue to stand up against politicians. The EU as a whole acceded to the Istanbul Convention in 2023, making it a legally binding agreement for the 27 member states in areas falling under the EU's competence.
Defense ministers of the Joint Expeditionary Force have met with their Ukrainian counterparts in Norway to launch an enhanced partnership with Ukraine. The partnership with Ukraine is being seen as a milestone for strengthening Euro-Atlantic security in the Nordic-Baltic region.
So this is a powerful signal to Putin and any other would-be aggressors that Jeff is stronger than ever, more united than ever, more innovative than ever, more flexible in our operational responses than ever.
Established in 2014, JEF is a UK-led multinational force made up of 10 European countries. The coalition seeks to learn from Ukraine's battlefield experience. In exchange, JEF countries will deliver training to the Ukrainian armed forces and collaborate on the protection of critical underwater infrastructure, drones and battlefield medicine.
From partners including JEF countries, Ukraine seeks access to European technologies and production capacities on the basis of which we could launch joint manufacturing. This modern weaponry will not only defend Ukraine now, it will guarantee Europe's security for years to come and reliably protect its eastern flank from permanent Russian aggression.
The meeting follows the conclusion last week of Tarasis, the coalition's 2-month-long operation across the Nordic-Baltic region.
Poland experiences incidents that regularly spark discussions about the country's security. Research centers analyzed Poles' declared behaviors in the event of armed conflict. According to an Ibris poll, half of citizens would report to defend the country. Meanwhile, Pollster indicates that 26% of Poles declare readiness to support the military, while 57% have no intention of getting involved.
Chociaż ten procent wydaje się niewielki, prawda, tam tylko około 1/4 ludzi gotowych do obrony kraju, no to jednak z tej 1/4 da się sformować całkiem porządną armię. Kolejną sprawą jest trochę brak zaufania do armii, ponieważ tylko połowa Polaków mniej więcej stwierdza, że nasza armia byłaby w stanie obronić ten kraj. Jeśli idę do wojska, to chciałbym być pewien, że zostanę dobrze przeszkolony i będę dobrze dowodzony. Jeżeli nie mam takiej pewności, no to cóż, no morale trochę spada w tym momencie.
The poll shows that young people are the least inclined to fight for their country. Euronews decided to ask them about it in person.
Myślę, że zostałbym w kraju. Na tyle bardzo lubię Polskę i ostatnio coraz bardziej ją lubię, że myślę, że zostałbym tutaj i nie wiem, w jakiej formie bym jej bronił, ale na pewno bym tu został.
Myślę, że forma wojny jest o tyle nieznana, że nie jestem w stanie jeszcze podjąć decyzji, natomiast sam się zastanawiam, czy mam jeszcze taką odwagę, jaką mieli nasi dziadkowie, pradziadkowie kiedyś.
Jeżeli mamy nawiązywać do naszego powstania warszawskiego albo takich rzeczy, no to oczywiście. Ale jeżeli teraz to by były jakieś polityczne zagrania, no to chyba musiałabym się naprawdę długo zastanawiać.
Researchers also asked respondents about their political views. In a situation of war, voters of the Law and Justice Party and the Civic Coalition are most likely to fight. Pope Leo XIV received Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas at the Apostolic Palace on Thursday. The meeting coincided with the 10th anniversary of the global agreement between the Holy See and the State of Palestine. The pontiff and Abbas shared their concern for the situation in the Gaza Strip, emphasizing the urgent need to help the civilian population and to work towards a political solution to the conflict. We must work for peace with a view to a two-state solution, the Vatican statement read. The audience had been planned for weeks. It is the first time Pope Leo XIV met with the Palestinian president since he was elected. Before their meeting in the Vatican, the two had spoken on the phone in July, when the Pope reiterated the key points of any diplomatic dialogue: full respect for international humanitarian law, the protection of civilians and holy sites, and the prohibition of indiscriminate use of force and forced displacement of the population.
Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas' visit highlights the Vatican's closeness to the Palestinian cause. The meeting with Pope Leo XIV in the Vatican on Thursday focused on these and on efforts to end the war in Gaza and provide humanitarian assistance to civilians. In the next few hours, Abbas will also meet with Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. Giorgia Orlandi for Euronews in Rome.
A state of emergency has been declared in the Philippines after Typhoon Kalmegi left at least 140 people dead, with fears the death toll may rise in what is the biggest natural disaster to hit the country this year. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said his state of national calamity measure will allow the government to disburse emergency funds faster and prevent food hoarding and overpricing. The typhoon on Wednesday began to blow away from western Palawan province into the South China Sea with sustained winds of up to 130 kilometers per hour and gusts of up to 180 kilometers per hour. The Philippines Office of Civil Defense said nearly 2 million people have been impacted by the typhoon's devastation. Local officials said around 127 people were still missing, many of them in the severely affected central province of Cebu, a bustling province that was still recovering from a 6.9 magnitude earthquake that struck in September. On the night of January 13 to the 14th, 1993, the Jan Eveliusz ferry set sail from the port of Siemianowice. However, no one could have predicted that the voyage would end in the largest peacetime maritime disaster in Polish history. The disaster, shrouded in mystery, became the subject of the new Netflix series Eveliusz.
Spora część tego serialu jest dedykowana tej katastrofie i ją pokazuje. Ale też jeszcze większa część tak naprawdę dotyczy tego, co się działo potem. Opowiada o ludziach, którzy zostali na lądzie, którzy stracili bliskich, także o ludziach, którzy przeżyli katastrofę. Jest to nie tylko film katastroficzny, ale jest to też dramat, po prostu dramat społeczny, dramat sądowy.
although it's a fictional series, the creators put a lot of work into portraying the reality of the events.
Kasper Bajon, który jest autorem scenariusza, przywertował dziesiątki akt, rozmawiał z bardzo wieloma osobami, których ta katastrofa dotyczyła, więc tu jest bardzo dużo prawdy.
The production stands out. It uses a wide range of practical, special and computer effects.
Skala ilości ujęć w pełni cyfrowych, zwłaszcza ujęcia Heweliusza promu płynącego w nocy w pełnym sztormie, to były bardzo trudne ujęcia i takiego filmu posiadających ponad 60 ujęć w pełni cyfrowych nie widziałem. Ponadto w całym serialu było około 1000 ujęć łącznie, które wymagały różnego rodzaju cięższych bądź lżejszych udziału efektów specjalnych. Więc pod tym względem na pewno jest to serial wyjątkowy.
The project's skill reflects the dynamism of the Polish film, television and post-production industry.
Ja myślę, że idziemy w bardzo dobrym kierunku jako Polska, ponieważ przynajmniej my z produkcji na produkcję robimy filmy bądź seriale, które mają coraz większy udział efektów specjalnych, co z punktu widzenia stopnia skomplikowania dla nas jest dość istotne, ale też ogólnie jakościowo te produkcje są coraz lepsze, dobrze zrealizowane i coraz większym rozmachem.
Projects like Heweliusz demonstrates the vast talent pool of Polish cinema today.
95% tego serialu powstało w Polsce, polskimi rękami i wydaje mi się, że branża jest konkurencyjna absolutnie w skali europejskiej czy światowej. My tu żadnych kompleksów nie mamy.
The series is now available on Netflix.